At Pacific Arts, we know you buy laser discs for their quality and collectability. That's why our programs are such a perfect fit with both PBS home video and Pacific Arts titles. We offer a world of home entertainment that's second to none, including such blockbusters as The Civil War, I, Claudius, Eyes on the Prize, High and Low, Nesmith Live and Elephant Parts, Computer Visions, Creation of the Universe, Amazing Grace, Crosby, Stills and Nash Acoustic, On Any Sunday, My Dinner with Andre, and so much more. Now available from Pacific Arts and PBS Home Video. We've got the kind of programs you buy Laserdiscs for. For a catalog or to order Laserdiscs, call 1-800-538-5856.
Cine, the Council on International Non-Theatrical Events, has awarded this film a Golden Eagle in token of its excellence.
Skyview, this is Escort 24. We're aligning for re-entry firing. Coordinates 23.5 by 006. Mark.
Escort 24, you are go for deorbit.
Roger, Control. Switching to internal guidance. Trajectory nominal. Deorbit is go. Prepare for ignition. 3, 2, 1, ignition. Burn successful. Thanks, Control.
Roger, Escort. Have a good landing.
Hey, you. Come over here. Check this out.
Welcome to Computer Visions. I'm Sharon Sheehan, and this is my co-host, Ray Tracy.
Yeah.
Computer animation is redefining the world of visual illusions, merging science, art, and motion pictures into a new digital cinema. Here we can see the influence of the American artist Edward Hopper.
Whoa, watch out!
Back in 1967, computer animation was new, and a young scientist began his work in the field.
Dr. James Blinn.
When I grew up, I was always interested in math and physics. My parents, however, were artists, art teachers. And when I went to school and first discovered computers, fairly early on I discovered that computers could be used to make pictures. And this just seemed like the obvious thing to do.
Dr. Blinn, now of the California Institute of Technology in Pasadena, California, is one of the early pioneers in the field of computer animation. Working with fine artists, scientists, and choreographers, Jim Blinn initiated significant advances in both the techniques and quality of computer animation by helping to develop new software tools.
Well, when I started out, I did my own tools because partly there weren't tools available, and partly because that was where I came from, was the computer end of things.
Jim Blinn used these tools when he created the animation for the Voyager flyby movies.
From my point of view, I always viewed the movies as primarily a more educational sort of thing. It was not really a science tool so much as a mechanism of taking the data that the scientists had come up with and portraying it to the world at large so they can understand what was going on.
The motivation behind his work is communication.
In order to really understand something, you need to have lots of different ways of looking at it. You need to have somebody explain it to you, see some animation of what goes on, do some of it yourself, think about it and reinvent part of it yourself. All these techniques need to be there in order to really learn something. And I'm providing one of them, which is the animation.
In the mid-70s, Dr. Blinn created these now classic images to show the evolution of computer graphics, including one of his contributions, texture mapping, the process of wrapping a picture around an object to simulate what surfaces in the real world look like. After that, Dr. Blinn created Blobby Man, one of the first realistic computer animations of a human figure. Blobby Man was used to demonstrate the power of a then newly developed rendering technique.
Back when we started out doing this, there were maybe like 50 people in the country who knew this. It was like an obscure hobby that we never believed that a whole lot of other people would really care about. Nowadays, you can go down to the supermarket and get fan magazines for computer graphics. And it's astounding that we've been kind of poking away at our terminals and having a good time, and then we look up and discover there's all these people looking over our shoulders now and wanting to do it themselves and finding that it's interesting.
That mug looks familiar.
It should, it's your architecture. Unlike other computer characters, you were built entirely inside the computer using curved splines. A spline is created by bending a line anchored with control points. It takes quite a few control points to generate the complex shape of a human face. You began as a cross-section of 50 control points. These were then rotated about an axis, creating a surface with 2,400 control points. The hole in the center became your mouth, and the surrounding areas your chin, cheeks, and forehead.
What about my teeth and eyes?
They were first sculpted and then texture mapped by taking a flat 2D picture and wrapping it onto the surface of a complex 3D computer object. This gives your eyes and teeth a more realistic look. Quite cute, actually.
Thank you. How about my body?
Also built with splines. Animating you is a matter of moving the control points to create different poses, called keyframes. The computer then automatically draws the images between the keyframes. After the artist sets colors and lighting, the final step is rendering. Rendering is when the computer completely draws all the details into each finished frame. Then the series of frames is recorded onto film or videotape, one at a time.
Hey, you. Come over here. Check this out.
You have the power to make me feel. Your microchips can make it real. Electric feelings burn so much. A simulated sense of touch.
Another way to recreate human motion was used for this synthetic singer, Dozo. She was first built as a series of clay sculptures with different mouth positions and a clay body, which were then all digitized into the computer. Then a human figure was filmed and used as a reference for her motion. Dozo's movements were calculated, tested interactively, and then adjusted.
Don't touch me with your love.
Because the human body and face are so complex, replicating human motion is difficult to achieve.
Computer animators are constantly working to improve the techniques they use to synchronize speech, simulate body movement, and reproduce accurate facial expressions.
Dozo now has a new role as torchbearer for the 1994 Olympics in Atlanta, Georgia.
Crypto is a three-dimensional computer actor made for French pay television. Crypto's animators have abstracted the human form to create a robotic, human-like character by isolating realistic-looking mouth, eye, and hand gestures. This computer-generated mermaid named Lorelei is another example of an abstracted, human-like form. Computer animators have had to overcome a lot of problems posed by things that we take for granted.
Like the look of muscles moving beneath realistically textured and flexible skin, and believably moving joints.
To address this, programmers have created software-based shortcuts, like splines, with movable control points. Animators first plot and test movement using wireframes, because they take less time to compute than completed images. When motion is completely worked out, the final images can then be rendered. Rhythmic motions, walking, dancing, cycling, swinging, are simplest to replicate. After several main or keyframes are created, the fly is animated by using a time graph editor to interactively control speed and timing. Then a low-resolution color test is made before the fly is finally recorded frame by frame onto videotape. Using a snake movement behavior model, scientists at Apple Computer created Frank, who owes the quality of his movement to dynamic simulations of muscle contractions combined with his body's interaction with the ground. In this vision of a unique alternative universe, animators at Japan's high-tech lab used a technique called behavioral animation,
which allows each character to use the same motions as the other characters around them while moving in different directions.
While this looks real, it's actually computer-generated using a technique called particle systems to create small, well, particles. Some of the most important work in education
And research.
is taking place at universities around the world.
This is how a lot of computer animators get started.
While classroom equipment is often less than state-of-the-art in terms of resolution, speed and memory, that hasn't stopped these students from pushing the limits of their imagination.
Limitations can often challenge artists more than bind them, and these young animators are no exception.
Or until the FDA approves it, will many insurance policies pay for the AZT hailed yesterday by the government. And the FDA won't say how long its approval process may take.
Inspired by the seductive nature of three-dimensional computer graphics, this piece was made as a personal statement by a graduate student at Ohio State University and took 7 months to complete.
New York.
Here, students at William Patterson College in New Jersey use modern art as a subject to contribute to our acceptance of computer animation as a new art form. Artists utilize familiar and traditional fine art images to artificially accelerate the apparent maturation of the still young art form of computer animation. To indulge their sense of humor, many computer animators and scientists mix their research
With inside jokes.
This character may look like clay, but was created entirely within the computer. A skeletal animation system automatically bends their skin. Here, a simple experiment in spline modeling and motion is framed within a fairy tale. Fire was created using a system that animates particles.
What fire?
The making of a really hip opening. As the storyboards were being finalized, director Nick Boxer conducted an extensive talent search.
Too shallow, too flashy.
And finally found his leading lady.
Oh, her. I want her. Get her a contract. Sign her. Hurry. Don't just stand there.
Weeks of preparation went into the construction and lighting of a massive set, which in and of itself went through daily changes that seemed to never end. The production required thousands of extras, all of whom had to be precisely choreographed.
Cut! Now do it again and get it right, or you're all sushi. No looking at the camera this time. Okay, and rolling. Beautiful.
In some cases, seemingly simple tasks became a constant source of frustration for the cast and crew.
Yo, where's his head? Makeup, makeup. And what's this pink water? This isn't Boston Harbor. Yo, and what's RoboFish doing here? I want Wanda. Where's my... Oh, there's my baby. Fisheye lens shot. Let's go for it. Oh, come on. Let's get it right this time. Looking good. Whoa! Whiplash.
Sometimes computer animation can be a lonely business. Researchers at the AT&T Bell Labs created 12,000 identical robotic figures to keep themselves company in a world whose inhabitants have only one purpose: to ride on top of the wall.
Unfortunately, the wall goes on forever.
Perhaps a metaphor for the continuing challenges presented by computer animation.
Hey, that teapot looks familiar.
It should, because teapots are a computer graphics icon. Everyone uses them to show off new techniques. Here at IBM in New York, researchers are developing physically based modeling, a procedure to make computer-generated objects behave as if they were real.
Like when things break.
Research began with a spongy cylinder dropped onto a solid surface, then to colliding rigid and soft tubes. Early breaking attempts didn't look right, and pieces would come flying through the cylinder walls. They learned that to make things happen, physical properties had to be altered. For example, to make something move, you hit it with an invisible sphere. And if you soften the teapot and hit it with a burst of gravity, you get a big sneeze.
Gesundheit. Looks like gravity was suspended.
Right, until it's time for it to come down.
This kind of work seems to be narrowing the gap between reality and our ability to simulate it.
You know, Ray, computer animation has become a fantastic new tool for scientists to use. Everything from a black hole to an electron cloud can be simulated using scientific visualization techniques. Researchers can see the invisible. Aircraft can fly through synthetic worlds. We can visit alien planets.
And look into a troubled future.
Computer animation is used in research to visualize what cannot be directly observed. Here, electron density maps from the AIDS drug AZT are compared with the electron density maps of thymidine. AZT is believed to inhibit the replication of viral DNA. This experiment suggests possibilities for new drug designs. Here, doctors use a computer to guide the treatment of an ocular tumor. The shape of the eye, retina, and tumor are captured with pulsed echo ultrasound. Digital slices of the eye are then traced to produce a three-dimensional reconstruction. The now visible tumor can be treated with a focused beam of high-intensity ultrasound. Here is a subject that is extraordinarily difficult to study in a laboratory. Wind speed and direction can be varied, in this simulation showing how a forest fire may spread under different conditions. Some experiments generate tremendous amounts of data. By using the computer to visualize, scientists can make some sense out of the billions of bits of data. This piece was created with gas simulation software to help researchers better understand the forces at work within storms.
As computer power increases, meteorologists may be able to improve on their ability to predict dangerous weather.
Beyond simulating nature, animators are also interested in mimicking its processes.
This tree was based on natural growth patterns.
In this simulation, clouds are formed as a consequence of the sun's heat onto rain. Simulating reality takes many forms. Systems like this air battle simulation training program provide realistic and cost-effective preparation for combat. War games no longer need be conducted at the risk of human life or at the expense of multi-million-dollar planes.
However, it's been noted that even the most advanced systems cannot be programmed to account for all battlefield conditions, including fatal mechanical flaws.
These fascinating images may lead the viewer to believe that just because they see a particular weapon system working, that it will in fact work as shown in animated simulations. Simulations can also help us understand environmental change.
No single issue has a greater potential for long-term impact on our environment than the buildup of greenhouse gases.
Here, scientists can simulate the possible atmospheric effects of increased carbon dioxide on our global environment. These models show how temperatures on Earth could rise if pollutants continue to accumulate in our atmosphere. Scientific modeling is also used in astronomy. By using astrophysical data, an image can be created of a binary star system going nova.
to another planet, Mars.
Courtesy of cameras aboard the Viking Orbiter spacecraft. With computers, scientists can animate a flight over the terrain of the Red Planet at elevations ranging from 500 miles down to only 3 miles.
Computer animation is a way for scientists and engineers to share their vision of possible futures.
We can demonstrate the operations of a colony on our moon, or explore Mars and its moons. This is an event NASA would like to see in 2002. In that year, a spacecraft from Earth could reach Saturn's moon Titan and drop in for a visit.
Interacting within a computer-generated environment is called artificial or virtual reality. In these real-time simulations, a person can move around a world that can only exist inside a computer.
The user wears a helmet and a glove. In front of the eyes are 2 small television screens which simulate a 3D environment.
These devices create the impression that the user is inside the simulation.
Current uses for virtual reality include automotive design, medical research, and architectural preview.
The possible uses for science, education, and new kinds of entertainment seem endless.
As computers grow in speed and power, the quality of the images produced will increase dramatically. Today, the first consumer applications of virtual reality are being introduced through video games. Persuasion, identification, consumer seduction
are what commercials are all about. Computer-animated commercials can have very high production values.
Computer and clay animation are combined here in separate layers to create the final product. It is a time-consuming process that begins with a database for the animated character. Movement, surface texture, and reflections are worked out. Next, live action is filmed on a small set, and a representation of the train is created to match the film.
Animators can then work out how the character fits into the scene.
This takes time because these different elements must move together in unison. The hand has to look like he's actually riding inside the train. When the camera move for the closing shot was filmed, the animation was made so the train's apparent motion matches the rest of the scene. Finally, the separate elements are brought together to create a seamless, eye-catching commercial.
All aboard for a great new dinner! Destination Avenir.
Computer animation has given the international community of commercial filmmakers a new tool for fantastic expression.
L'orientation et l'encadrement jusqu'à l'entrée dans la vie active.
This is the proposed Japanese Linear Express. is expected to run at 500 kilometers per hour. Computer animation allows us to take a ride on it now, before a prototype of the train is built. The piece includes a new feature, motion blur, which accurately simulates the blur caused when fast-moving objects are photographed.
Imagine an environment so protected that no life form is ever lost.
Public service announcements are now starting to use computer animation in promoting their messages.
That's very creative, Cindy. But tell me, where did you get the idea for the dinosaur? Teaching. Imagine it.
This piece was produced for a British oil company, with the hummingbird symbolizing ecology, fragility, and beauty. To make this logo for a British company, footage of real clouds and images of model buildings were combined with computer animation.
Le rock'n'roll est-elle là? Avec Europe 2, le Rock US est de retour dans cette nouvelle compilation Rock'n'roll Volume 2.
Je chante. Oh pardon, mais j'aime la chanson francophone sur des airs populaires. C'est une langue belle. Sur des airs de jazz. Sur des airs rock. Oh pardon.
Papà, rispondi tu. La mamma è uscita.
Sono sotto la doccia. Per cortesia, rispondi tu.
Oh no, se Francesca mi terrà un'ora, devo studiare.
No, è scappata.
Computer animation is now used in many different entertainment media, including feature films and theme parks. In this introduction to a Swedish theme park attraction, live action is combined with computer animation. This presentation sets the stage for a thrilling ride. Miniature models and computer animation are combined in RoboCop 2. The face of the villain is created by laser scanning human expressions into a computer. The facial database is then animated with computer puppeteering techniques. An operator directly inputs movement into the computer with a Waldo motion control device. The effect is chilling, especially in the final moments of the film when the animation creates the anguish of the villain's death.
Another Saturday morning cartoon?
Well, not quite. because although the animation cells were drawn conventionally by hand, the work was finished on the computer using a new system called CAT for computer-assisted traditional animation. The animation process can be made more efficient, and much of the work which was done by hand can now be accomplished with the help of the computer.
The result?
More control, lower costs, and higher quality cartoon animation.
Hi. A sinister flying pod has just entered the Earth's atmosphere. Seconds remain before certain death rains from the heavens, slaughtering, maiming, and disfiguring most of the people you know. Have a nice day.
This story from the Massachusetts Institute of Technology combines the 2D cell-animated boy with a 3D computer-generated giant alien cockroach. In this story of a little train that could, the software designers and artists have overcome one of the major challenges facing computer animation.
To make inorganic forms come alive to tell a story.
In making the caboose and engine flexible, they've been given distinct personalities without adding faces, arms, or legs. This piece was produced by the National Film Board of Canada to celebrate their 50th anniversary. This work is a good example of the influences of surrealist artists like Magritte and Escher on computer animation. As this digital cinema is maturing as an art form, animators are doing what painters and sculptors have done before them.
Artists working in a new art form often create homages to older traditional art forms in order to gain respectability.
Computer animation is a medium still under development. Here at Symbolics in Los Angeles, animators are recording their artwork onto high-definition television because they believe it's the medium of the future. Matt Elston, a director and designer, strives for naturalism with his computer-animated characters.
You don't see any joints on this character as you look across her body. She is a seamless object in 3D space. You don't know that necessarily that she's a computer-generated character. Is she a painting or an airbrush drawing, or is this a model, or is this, a person that's been painted up this way? And that kind of blurring of the line, that kind of confusion is part of what we're after.
This sense of naturalism is captured in the flight of butterflies. Producer and animator Mark Scaparo created the movement of butterflies using behavior animation software, which allows each butterfly to navigate its own path. By giving the computer simple instructions, complex patterns evolve out of the butterfly's motion.
In the computer, you can actually build the three-dimensional reality you want and build the three-dimensional characters. Eventually computer characters can be like puppets or models or a human actor.
Computer characters as vehicles for expression are still something new because the medium is still young.
We don't know what we have with computer graphics. It's a new form, it's a new tool, it's a new communication. And because of that, it's extremely exciting. It offers the artist a vast array of new creative potentials, but that's the big excitement, is that you get to go out and explore.
What about love?
Computer animation has reached a new level of maturity, with fine artists using the medium to create unique works that move away from traditionally recognizable artistic forms. historically popular subject in fine art, the human form, is abstracted through computer animation in ways not possible with marble, clay, bronze, or paint. This interpretation of Pygmalion, the story of a sculpture that becomes a living human, is the result of a collaboration by 4 members of the art faculty at the University of Paris.
Here, digital cinema employs a classic story from Greek mythology to tell a tale of creation, desire, and transformation.
This 3D textured metamorphosis uses a form-growing program with a combination of random mutation and artistic selection.
The result is a unique vision which literally grew and evolved inside the computer. Images of a rainstorm, as seen from under the surface of a puddle.
The impact of unseen raindrops was generated with a particle system. It led to unexpected and surprising results.
A significant leap in an art form's development takes place when we see its use for diverse ethnic and cultural expressions.
The title of this work, Leela, is an Indian word which means game of the gods. The eternal fight between good and evil is illustrated here by the two-dimensional shadow puppet monkey and the full-bodied monster. The artist behind this work sees the differences between the mischievous monkey and the oppressive mechanical monster as a metaphor for her own struggle to adapt to the techniques of computer animation.
The computer can be used to express ideas about isolation, fear, violence, and pain.
Here, poetry and surrealism are combined in a very powerful vision. This work's creator wants us to focus on the aesthetic qualities of computer artwork and treat it like any other art form. This otherworldly vision is a mix of artistic elements drawn from different cultures, both real and imagined. We've seen that computer animation is an increasingly powerful tool used by artists and scientists to describe, interact, and communicate with the world around us, whether for art, education, visualization, entertainment, or new virtual realities. Society is rapidly changing, hopefully for the better, with computer visions. Goodbye, Ray.
Good night, Sharon.
As we leave you with a blank canvas to fill with your own imagination, remember, you ain't seen nothing yet.